Everybody good? Okay. Thanks for being here this afternoon and responding, I'm sure, on pretty short notice. But good afternoon. I'm joined by, of course, our Finance Director, Rob DeBow, Chief of Staff, Everett Gillison, and folks from our labor team. One of the most important duties of any mayoral administration is managing the costs of municipal services that are offered and provided by the City of Philadelphia. Public safety, of course, is at the very foundation of what we provide the hardworking taxpayers of our great city. And our city is blessed, of course, with highly trained police officers, firefighters, and correction officers in the public safety realm. But the cost of training and deploying these public servants is significant, consuming about 1/3 of our entire general fund budget. Consequently, the decisions that we make regarding arbitration awards and setting the wages and benefits that we provide to our uniformed employees are of tremendous importance to the city and to those great workers. Regardless of whether it's an arbitration award or a negotiated contract with our other unions, our goal has been consistent over time. We seek a fair contract, fair to the employees who provide vital public service, but also fair to the taxpayers of this city who must pay the bill through their hard-earned tax dollars. It is a balancing act based on our ability to pay now and in the future. And these decisions about what we can afford are made in light of the many competing interests we face as America's 5th largest city, and while we continue to try to make Philadelphia a safer city, a more affordable city, and a healthy place in which to live, work, and raise our families. In light of improved city finances, we have concluded that we would be left with extremely low fund balances, but that the city can manage some additional costs required by one of the awards, which covers a period that just ended June 30, 2013. And so today I'm very pleased to announce that the City of Philadelphia has already withdrawn its appeal of the 2012 Firefighter Award, now before Commonwealth Court. This dispute was always and only about affordability, and as we as a city are now in a place to provide the pay increases set out in that award. You may ask, what changed? Why are we able to bring this long process to a positive result? Well, first let me provide some historical context, because the roots of this award stretch back 5 years. When union and city representatives sat down with the arbitration panel for sessions in 2009 and 2010, the city was struggling through the worst financial downturn since the Great Depression. In that period, we took more than $2 billion in important but painful actions, raising taxes and cutting services, so that we could continue quality service to the citizens of this city and be mindful of the precious tax dollars that we manage. We did not resort to massive layoffs like some other cities. After more than a year of arbitration hearings, in October of 2010, I announced that we could not afford the cost of that particular award, which also contained provisions that clearly infringed illegally on the city's management rights, and so we appealed. However, neither the union nor the city appealed a new hybrid pension plan for new hires that was also a part of that award. That reform provision has been in place since 2010 and will help us in the future years to manage our long-term costs. Without getting too far into the details of all the legal back and forth, the disputed award, by agreement of the parties, came back to the arbitration panel, and a new award was issued in July of 2012. That is 3 years into the award's 4-year term. While this award corrected some of the errors that we saw in the first award, it still resulted in more than $200 million in costs above the 5-year plan that we projected at that time. We would have sustained negative fund balances throughout that plan as a result of that award had it been implemented. So again, in my view, we had no choice but to appeal, as is either party's right under state law. Now, as many of you who have followed the budget process know, the city's financial condition has improved incrementally over the last year or so. We were able to include the cost of firefighter wage increases as required under the award in the city's 5-year plan for the FY14 to FY18 time period in early July. That was roughly $112 million during that plan. Then in August, Common Pleas Court Judge Heidi Fox ordered the city to increase its health care contributions to the union-controlled health fund in line with the award at a cost of about $70 million. She ordered this because the fund was literally running out of money, and the public servants would have been facing what the judge found would be significant increases in what they must pay without any advance notice. We agreed not to appeal this order that increased the per-member, per-month payment from the city to the Union Health Fund from $1,270 per member per month to $1,620 per member per month. On Tuesday of this week, we submitted a revised 5-year plan reflecting these latest changes to PICA. And at this point, the difference between the original award and what is in the plan we have just submitted to PICA on September 3rd is $28 million. These are funds primarily now for the union's health fund. Given our improved finances, I have concluded that we can now pay the remaining costs of this award and that we, the city and the union, can now focus on the newest interest arbitration process, which is already underway. Concluding the 2012 award will remove a substantial degree of uncertainty hanging over the new interest arbitration proceedings as to both wages and the condition of the firefighters' health fund. This action by the city will also require Local 22 to implement the increases in employee medical and prescription copays that both the 2010 and the 2012 awards had ordered, but the union-controlled health fund has not yet put in place. Healthcare costs are very clearly both a significant budget issue and a concern as we look for ways to improve the health and safety of our firefighters in doing their jobs. And union officials have recently informed us that they project that their health care costs could go up by double-digit percentage increases beyond the current $1,620 per member per month that the city presently pays as a result of cost increases from the union's health insurance provider. Obviously, this will be a major concern for the next arbitration, which, as I mentioned, is currently underway. I believe it's time to move forward. We have resolved the 2012 firefighter award, but as you can see, we face substantial challenges in the next arbitration process, especially as it relates to health care costs going forward. And with that, I'd be glad to try to answer any questions that you might have. So in the award, there were, in FY10, it was a 0% increase. In FY11, 3%, FY12, 3%, FY13, 3%. And again, as I mentioned, that award actually expired on June 30, 2013, just a couple months ago.
But that amount totals what?
We estimate at the moment, on average, for a firefighter, we estimate about $5,000 per officer. And again, some of that is probably depending on years of service or what their pay is, but the average for each firefighter should, I'm sorry?
5,000 per year per firefighter.
No.
5,000
Total. Yeah.
So, and the total to the city?
So for the wage portion, about $110 million over the 5-year plan. The healthcare portion, about $70 million, and then the retro portion on healthcare, about $28 million. And the $110 million and the $70 million were in the plan that we submitted to PICA earlier this week.
Is that coming out of the fund now?
It already has. It's
Yes.
already reflected. in
It's
the
reflected
fund
in the plan that we just submitted on Tuesday. That's why I said in future years, we will have extremely low fund balances, but they are positive. This 5-year plan that was just submitted is the first 5-year plan since these awards were made that do not show a negative fund balance during those 5 years, and that is the critical difference. When you took that award and put it against any 5-year plan back to FY10, we showed negative fund balances for almost every year going forward, which is why we said at the time, we can't afford this. The plan submitted on Tuesday is the first plan since these awards were made that have all 5 years positive, although a few of those years are pretty low, but still positive. And I think in the chart, it will show you that.
And to what degree, if any, did the change in leadership of the union play, given that there certainly appeared to observers to be a lot of personal animosity between the previous union chief and your administration?
None. We certainly look forward to, I always look forward to positive working relationships with everyone I work with, and especially our union leaders. Again, the reason for the appeals and the reason for today's decision are consistent, and they are the same. We could not afford those awards at that time. We now can, and I made the decision that if we can afford it, then we should go and move forward and implement those awards. So it's not about personalities or who's nice or not nice or whatever the case may be. I mean, that's a frivolous way to make decisions. This was about affordability, and when it became apparent that we could, even with those lower fund balances in the out years, the right thing to do is to move forward, conclude that process as we are now already in a new one. Through
personnel and labor savings. What's the strategy now for, controlling pension costs or healthcare costs like you've talked about in the past for the long term?
Well, the new hybrid pension plan, again, which was not an item of dispute by either party, I believe back in the 2010 award, will help us in the long term. As I mentioned at the conclusion of my remarks, though, we still have a lot of work to do on the healthcare side. When you think about those numbers, so prior to Judge Fox's order, we were at $1,270 per member per month. In July, we were ordered to bump that up to $1,620 per member per month. And if, as anticipated, there is a significant double-digit increase in healthcare costs for the union's health fund, it more than likely will drive that number, potentially drive that number up even higher. And so containing healthcare costs, at the same time containing pension costs, but as you can see, healthcare costs are clearly on a significant rise. We still have a lot more work to do, and we're in an arbitration process right now. That'll be a significant item of discussion and focus.
On the pensions, this is like the police award, right, or agreement that was already in place where it's optional for them to sign up for the plan. Is there...
You either pay more to stay in the current plan or you can go in the other plan. And the person has that choice. And again, that was the arbitrator's decision, and neither side appealed that.
Are you satisfied with that as an end goal of your pension reform efforts, that it's just optional to go into Plan 10 or pay for the Senate?
Again, in arbitration process, you get what you get. There are any number of other ways. We've sent legislation up to City Council about how to address some of pension costs as it relates to exempts and non-reps. That legislation has not been introduced. That would help. But there are a number of different strategies to try to reduce pension costs, while at the same time trying to, there's a whole other conversation about how do we get additional dollars, not general fund dollars, into the pension fund to boost its health. We've got a plan that's about 49% funded. That is not a healthy plan. And so we need to attack this from a variety of methods, and it will take some time. Anything else? we made the appeal for the right reason. We couldn't afford it. Now we can. So I made the right decision with regard to the city's finances. I think, Mike, as you well know, this is not a business for the faint of heart. But from before I was mayor or even during my time as a member of City Council, I've had the rock-solid perspective that managing the city's finances properly, which sometimes won't maybe make you a whole lot of friends, but it's the right decision for all of the people. There are 1.5 million people in this city who have different perspectives on issues, most of whom are not getting a city pension, most of whom are not getting city-provided health care. They're paying for it. And so I have to try to manage this from a perspective of what's in the best interest of the entire city and all of the taxpayers. And so, if somebody's upset with me about a decision, I mean, I respect that. But there's another constituency out there that would not like to see, significant tax increases or more services taken away as a result of paying for other things or other costs in the government. So I don't take this personally. This is my responsibility. This is my job, is to manage the city's finances, try to make the best possible decisions. Some days, some folks will be happy with you. I would at least hope for the next, 5 minutes or so, somebody might be happy that, they're getting ready to get these dollars and at least brought the 2012 award to conclusion. But, half hour from now, somebody's going to be upset about something else. Just goes with the territory. But I think on behalf of all the taxpayers and the financial status of the city, it is one of the reasons why our rating was upgraded to the highest level since 1979, because we are viewed as good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. That includes everyone, including our public servants. So.
Was your chances of success in litigation a factor in deciding not to continue?
No, and we thought we would be successful in litigation, but quite honestly, what does that get you? What that gets, in reality, is an award sent back to an arbitration panel at a time when our premise was, we can't afford this award. All that would have done is sent an award back to an arbitration panel at which we would have said, we can now afford this. That makes no sense. But I think on the law, from a legal standpoint, I think we would have been successful. But the issue here is our fundamental premise since 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, we can't afford this. Now we can. And that's the decision that I made, and that's the reason that I made that decision. It has nothing to do with any other external factors.
We're working on it now.
Yeah, we're working on it right now. It'll be pretty soon. It'll be soon. Thanks. 3 o'clock. Thanks. See ya.